everyone, how we all doing? It's me again, Trisha, here for another edition of Coffee Talk. As you can see, I am laying in my bed right now, feeling a little tired today. So earlier this week on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I was working night shift at the hospital, and it was by far the busiest and most physically and mentally demanding shifts that I've had. Unfortunately, I had 2 COVID patients, and I was just back and forth between the rooms for like the 12-hour shift mainly. Just bouncing between the patients' rooms, trying to manage fevers. They're both having fevers. They're both on the vent, both trying to keep them sedated enough to tolerate being on the ventilator, trying to keep their pain under control, trying to get their blood pressure under control, because unfortunately when you sedate the patients, usually their blood pressure drops and you have to start them on another medication to try to maintain a high enough blood pressure so that their organs are getting perfused well enough. So unfortunately, I'm doing all this knowing that these patients they're not going to make it. Just kind of prolonging everything. But I mean, I understand the families wanting to try everything, but from my point of view, it's just prolonging everything, and it's just really sad. I didn't realize how much those 3 shifts in a row had affected me until I came home and went to sleep, and I had the craziest nightmare about work. And yeah, I slept. I usually on my first day off only sleep a few hours, then get up, and then stay up until my family goes to bed again later that night. Well, I slept most of the day, had a crazy nightmare. I was only up for maybe 3 or 4 hours, and then I went right back to bed again and slept throughout the night. I was exhausted. I have never been so tired in my life. I was so tired. But yeah, so my dream was quite crazy. I had to make notes so I wouldn't forget, because it was the longest dream too. It was so long. Yeah, so let me explain what happened in my dream. So before I tell you about my dream that I had, right before I went to sleep, just so you guys know, I get a phone call from work from a charge nurse on day shift that was asking what time I had changed. That one of my patients was getting a heparin drip, and I had to make a change to the heparin drip because one of the labs was well, basically we adjust the rate of the heparin drip according to one of the lab results. So and usually when we make the change, we have to do a cosign with another nurse. Well, I was so busy in the rooms that I did make the change. I changed the rate of this heparin drip, and in my mind I was like, okay, I'll get all this done, and then I'll go out. I'll let the charge nurse know like the change I made, so he could cosign. But like I said, I was so busy with my patients, I was bouncing back and forth, so something must have come up. I must have had to go take care of something with my other patient, and then I just completely forgot. So I got that phone call, and they're like, well, I don't know, you might have to come back in and chart why you didn't have that co-signed or blah, 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 and the manager's probably going to call you and talk to you. So I'm like, oh, great. So that's what happens right before I go to sleep after my horrible 3 nights in a row. So I go to sleep. In my dream, I'm sitting at the computer charting, and patients that have passed away during the shift are being, I don't know why in my dream, they're being placed on the floor right in front of the nurse's station. And one of the patients was mine, and they were just laid on the floor right in front of me where I'm charting, almost like presenting my failure, that's what it seemed like. Oh, look, here's this patient that didn't make it. You couldn't save him. So, yeah, that's what it felt like. So here I am charting on my patient. The patient's laying on the floor right next to me. And then in my dream, my other patient is dying. He's like right at that point where they're going to pass away. And then I have family in the room, crazy family members. They're demanding that I get this dying patient up into a chair because they didn't want the patient to die in the bed. So here I am trying to get this dying patient up into a chair. And then the patient dies, the family leaves, and then right before we're about to take the patient down to the morgue, the patient miraculously comes back to life. And the family's already left, and they think this patient's dead. So I'm like, oh, great. So I get the patient back in bed, and in my dream, this patient has this weird, his arm is extendable. I don't know how to explain it. I mean, it's a dream. It's crazy. So he is trying to grab the door frame in the room. He's laying in the bed, and his arm's extending all the way to the door frame, and he's grabbing it, trying to pull himself out of bed. So he's trying to pull so he can fall out of bed. Yeah, that's another big thing in the ICU. We've had patients fall out of bed, and it's a big deal. And so all our patients have to have these bed alarms on their mattress, or have the bed set to alarm if a patient's getting out of bed, because we've had a few patients fall out of bed. So here I am in my dream stressing, oh my gosh, this guy in this stupid extendable arm, he's trying to pull himself out of bed. So, what else? So then the dream changes, and it's the end of my shift, and I am trying to find the day shift nurse to give report because I want to get the hell out of there. And I can't find the day shift nurse, and it seems like it's like hours before I find the nurse and give report. Then finally I'm done with my shift, and I'm trying to gather all my stuff, but I'm having trouble finding all my stuff. So that's another thing. Then that takes forever, and I finally find all my belongings. And then, so I'm on my way out. I go to the elevator to take it to the floor I need to get to the parking garage. And this elevator is really strange. Like, there's no there's up and down button, but you have to pay to use the elevator. So here, I remember I had like a $20 bill, and you have to put it in, the little slot like a vending machine. And then it also had a keyboard, and before it would take you anywhere, you had to type in your personal information. So weird. And I remember I was trying to type my name, but it was coming out all wrong on the screen. I was getting frustrated. And then I looked down at the keyboard to see why I wasn't getting the letters right. And the keyboard, instead of the actual letter showing on each key, it was a picture that represented the letter. Like for the letter S, it showed a pair of skates. Weird. So in my dream, I finally get frustrated and I storm off. And I find another elevator finally that is able to take me to where I need to go. And I remember this elevator was super fast. I remember it dropping down really fast, and like I kind of like floated up for a minute in my dream, and then thud, it hit, and I fell on the ground. So here I'm getting out of the elevator, and now I'm trying to find my car. And the parking garage is full of all these like really strange statues, like very strange. They're in a very strange position. They have like distressed looks on their faces. And I think it's because I've been reading this book. Let me find it. This book right here. It's a good book. But anyways, in the book, they talk about rooms full of all these strange statues. A lot about statues in this book. So I think that's where I got that part of my dream from. So then in my dream, I finally get home. And when I get home, so my husband and son are there. First off, I get a phone call from my son's teacher telling me that he's in trouble for bullying people via distance learning, bullying his classmates or something. And then my husband gets mad at me because there's nothing to eat in the house. And so he storms off to either the grocery store to go get some fast food or something to bring home to eat. And then in my dream, I get the phone call that I got before I actually fell asleep about forgetting to co-sign that heparin drip. And then they tell me I have to come in my dream, come back to work after I just got home, trying to get out of there, and I just got home and I have to go right back. So I go back to work, and then I find my manager, and she is just telling me how disappointed she is in me that I didn't have this medication co-signed, and that I know that I'm supposed to do this, and it's just going to be a big situation. And so in my dream, I start telling her, well, I'm sorry. I meant to, but this group is so crazy. I was nonstop back and forth between these patients. And I just missed it because I got sidetracked with trying to take care of the patients. And in my dream, my manager's like looking off and rolling her eyes like she doesn't even care. She doesn't care that I was running my ass off. She didn't care about all the good work I did. Just that one thing, focusing on that one thing I forgot to do. So in my dream, I get mad and I start yelling at my manager, like, how can you, what about everything else I did? What about all the good work I did? How I took care of these patients? Like, does that not even matter? And I start going off on her, and then I start crying, like just making a big scene. And then I finally wake up. So isn't that a crazy dream? But I mean, it just like reflects what a stressful 3 nights I had. Like, it really affected me. I've never had a dream like that just reflected how stressed out I was. And I was just wanting to get out of there. I wanted to leave because I was so tired mentally and physically. And my dream reflects that, where I'm not able to get out. I was trying to find my things to leave. I was trying to find the nurse to give a report. I couldn't get out of the hospital because the elevators weren't working, blah, blah, blah. And then I finally get home, and I have issues at home. And then I have a phone call from work where I have to go right back to fix something that I forgot to do. It's like the hospital had its grasp on me. It wasn't going to let me go, It's quite deep dream. But anyways, yeah, that was my lovely nightmare. But yep, sorry I haven't made any videos in a while. I've just been busy at work and doing other stuff on my days off. So anyways, have a good day, make good decisions, and I'll see you later. Ciao.